Is it possible to beat the field sobriety test? Well, that's the question we're going to explore today. Welcome back to James for Justice, where we talk about all things related to criminal justice. I'm James Fafelsky, and I've been fighting for justice for my clients for over 20 years as a criminal defense attorney. And it is my mission to empower everyone to be their own best advocate in the criminal justice system. I get this question all the time. How can I beat the field sobriety test? Is it possible to beat the field sobriety test? Well, that's the question we're going to explore today. And I'm going to tell you this, that generally, every state is different, but generally, most police officers will use what are called the standardized field sobriety tests, and there are 3 of them, as administered by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration of our federal government. The training that police officers receive is generally the same when it comes to these 3 field sobriety tests. There are other sobriety tests that police officers have used. These are the 3 standardized, so it's most helpful for you to understand these. The first is what's called the HGN, or the horizontal gaze nystagmus, where the officer is going to take his finger and have you follow it with your eyes, go back and forth 45 degrees and then back and then out to 90 degrees and then back a series of times to see if your eye is fluttering or jerking or if it's going smoothly. Because you can't do anything to control this part of the test, there's really not much to talk about other than be aware that this is one of the tests that police officers normally give people when they're investigating DUI. And all you can really do is just be cooperative. The more cooperative you are, the better trust you'll be able to build with the officer on some level. The second standardized field sobriety test is the one-leg stand, where you're asked to stand on one foot, raise the other foot off the ground about 6 inches or so, put your arms to your side, and count up to 30. Some officers say count until I tell you to stop. By counting 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, 4, 1,000, up until you hit 30 or you're asked to stop. Officers looking for balance issues. Are you raising your arms to keep balance? Do you put a foot down because you lost your balance? Did you sway or bend or hop? Officers are going to look for all sorts of indicators that you just can't keep your balance. What you can do ahead of time, starting today, is just practice that test. Practice standing on one foot, because most of us don't stand on one foot like that in the rest of our daily lives. Police officers do it because they're trained in this, and they conduct these tests with other people that they want to arrest. But if you take a little time to prepare yourself, you can learn how to do this test a little better, since it's just one of those things that if you're not practicing balancing on one foot, it's going to be much harder, especially after a drink or two. Even if you're not at the legal limit or over it, you can screw up this test just because you don't have good balance. So help yourself by getting a little practice in on this balancing test. The third standardized field sobriety test is the walk and turn test. This is probably the hardest one by far because there's multiple layers to it. An officer will tell you, stand with one foot in front of the other, heel to toe, while I instruct you on the test. That's the first part of the test. Keep your arms down by your side and listen to me as I instruct you on the test. That's what he'll say. Then, once he tells you to go, you're going to walk 9 steps out, heel to toe, without stepping off an imaginary line. Sometimes it's a white or yellow line on the pavement. Keep your arms by your side the whole time. When you get out to the 9th step, pivot on one foot and take a series of small steps, 180 degrees, turning yourself around, walking back 9 steps heel to toe. You have to be careful on that turn, because it's not like a Michael Jackson spin, pivot on one foot and lift the other one off the ground. It's pivot on one foot, but step with the other foot, small steps, turning 180 degrees and then coming back. The key with all of these tests, really, is that it comes down to balance. It comes down to dexterity. It comes down to listening to the officer instruct you in these tests. And so when you have an opportunity to prepare yourself just a little bit by practicing these tests ahead of time at home, on the sidewalk, on the pavement, But also, if you've had a few drinks with your friends or your spouse, you can do these tests before you get in your car and turn on the ignition to better understand whether you're in a good enough state to drive. It's hard for everyone to know if that 1 or 2 or maybe 3 drinks, or even if you've been out for a long time and you've had a drink every hour or so, but it's not like you're slamming drinks 5 in an hour, you could be still under the legal limit. It's hard to discern that. And so one thing you can do, when in doubt, always get a ride, get a cab, get an Uber, get a friend, call a friend, get a ride. But if you think you're good and you just want to try to be more certain about that, you can run these tests just briefly out in the parking lot before you step foot in your vehicle. It'll give you a better chance of being prepared in the event an officer pulls you over. The last bit of advice, this is sort of a bonus. When you're driving, pay attention. Don't speed. Use your blinkers. Make sure your headlights are on. Turn properly. Don't drive crazy. Don't be in a rush to get home. Be mindful and conscious, even if you're feeling a little bit tipsy, and you will do much better than if you lose track of the possibility that there could be an officer waiting to pull you over. Remember, none of this is legal advice. You should always consult with a licensed attorney about your specific legal needs. But don't forget, it is my mission to empower, encourage, and educate everyone impacted by the criminal justice system. So if you enjoy this video, please like it, subscribe to this channel, share it with your friends and colleagues so that together we may effect true and lasting criminal justice reform.